All right, hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Alyssa and Ed doing VR. Alyssa, you got here right at the right moment.
That was beautiful. Good morning.
Such a fashionable entrance.
So tell me things, Ed. Tell me all the things, just real quick.
So let's, I guess, catch people up where we are. We kind of played around with some of the tools for the last few weeks. We have our Oculus Quest headsets, which are made by Facebook. There's a new VR platform by Facebook as well that we've been playing with, called the Facebook Horizon. And Facebook Horizon is pretty neat. It's got my attention. And here, we'll share the page here with everybody.
I think I'm frozen. I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
There you go. So Alyssa's got some tech issues she's fixing. While she does that, I'll talk for a second about what Horizon is. It's currently in beta only, and it's comparable to things like AltSpace VR and Clubhouse. What's the other one? Rec Room.
Do you know what Clubhouse is? Because I was on, there's like some Twitter talks or Twitter streams or live or something where like people are live chatting on Twitter. And I was like, what is this? I've never heard of it. And they were like, it's like Clubhouse. And I was like, I've never heard of that either.
So, yeah, Clubhouse is some sort of iPhone app that, and I don't have an iPhone, so that automatically excludes me. But it's some kind of chat room type of thing, as far as I understand.
Okay.
It's like an invite only, like you invite your friends to chat in a chat room, but it's audio. I don't know. All the young kids are doing it, I guess.
Now you said this is like AltSpace. I know we did play around with AltSpace a bit, but are there building tools in AltSpace?
So the building tools, this is what makes Horizon, I think, special, is because the building tools are baked into Horizon, and they're done in a way that I haven't seen anybody do this before. So the tools for AltSpace are in Unity, and Unity's a pretty solid game engine. So I mean, there's some learning curve there, some pretty serious learning curve, which means you could probably do more with AltSpace, but the the ability to get in there and do stuff locks out a large amount of the community, and it caters to more professional developers and stuff like that. And they both have their place, but I thought this just was a really cool creative tool, and it lets you do so much without having to know a ton. You don't have to install any dev tools. You don't have to have a compiler running. I mean, you don't. You just get in and build stuff.
I'm just really surprised by your ability to like apply logic so easily. Like it seems like you already get like whenever we're adding functionality to like an item, you already get how that should be like plugged in together. Is that because of your background in game development somewhat, or is that just because like I don't know if I've ever seen Unity outside of this before. So to me, I'm like,
So,
what?
yeah, there's a lot of things in here that come from game dev that are just overly simplified. So it's familiar concepts to me because of
Okay.
some game design stuff that I've done before. But they've made it even easier to access, so somebody can learn it very quickly. If you're going to jump into something like Unity or Source Engine or Unreal, I mean, these same tools exist, but there's like a billion others on top of it.
Okay.
Like this is just like 1% of the tools that are available in those platforms. So this you can take on the responsibility of building like a miniature, small game, a small multiplayer game, whatever you want to make. It's got that mini game concept to it. You can build these little mini games in a short period of time where level for something like a Half Life or something like that is going to take you in a team, months at a time to build just one level for it. So this you can do on your own. You don't have to have like a person for scripting and a person for textures and a person for lighting. It's like so much easier to get in here and do stuff.
Mm. I'm excited. So today specifically, I think we're going to actually start laying out the level for our game and talking
Yeah,
about
let's grab
pointers on that.
our um, let's grab our Dropbox thing that
Yes.
we've got. See if I can.
Inspiration.
Yeah, if you have that to share,
Yes,
we
I
can share.
do.
Yeah, so we're gonna look at just laying out some ideas for the game that we're gonna make and the level that it's gonna have. So in this environment, we can have a single game at a time. So you don't have like the concept of like multiple worlds per game. It's all inclusive. It's a one game, one level type of thing. So we're gonna do like a shooting gallery with some of our branding attached to it. So our Ninja and Kadoka. Um, we'll mess around with some of the settings today too, like the day, night, winter, summer type idea. And then we'll kind of like block out. So I take the approach that I was kind of a chicken and egg, but it's the same approach I use for web design or game design is to build like prototypes. And I use things like, like Bootstrap or Foundation or something like that when I do web development. And I block things out with like big gray blocks. And like, I'm like, this is where the header's going to be, and this is where,
Oh,
cards
really?
are going to go.
I didn't even think of doing that in a game. Okay,
Yeah,
so
we're going to do something similar here.
that's awesome. So we'll just create zones, and I know you had a ton of really good. I don't know if you wanted me to show these yet, your layout
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
considerations.
Yep. So we had this back and forth about like what kind of game we are going to build, and you suggested like something like a shooting gallery, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool, like the old school like arcade shooters where you go in and you've got like a rifle or something, you're like shooting targets in a gallery and like trying to win the big stuffed animal type of thing. But we're going to be in VR where we can move around and like do this in a larger environment. So we're not like fixated like in a location. So we're going to do that. And we figured out like if we do it in a loop, like we can run around this space in either direction in 360 degrees and like find targets and pop them and do whatever they're going to do and collect points. So one of the things I want to talk about while we're doing this is not only are we in a 3D space because it's a 3D game engine, but it's VR, so it's like even more immersive. So what a lot of beginners do when they're building these levels is they're so flat. Like they build one big box and everything goes in the box and it's all at one plane. So what you don't get is that vertical gameplay. Like there's nothing above you or below you. What we want to do is make sure that there's some sort of terrain that you're going uphill, downhill, maybe shooting targets over a ledge, shooting targets that are up in the sky, get the player to feel like they're immersed in something and look around. So we need to make sure we don't forget about creating height in this game environment. Another thing is it's UX. We're both used to UX stuff. It's a different user experience when you're playing a game, but it's still UX. So you want to make it easy for somebody to get around. They don't want to get lost. So what we can do is take and make landmarks throughout this loop. So when you're in an area, that if you're next to the koi pond, then to your right is going to be a temple, and then past the temple is going to be something else. And this loop, where you're at inside the loop at all times.
And my first question whenever you mentioned creating a loop was, is there going to be like a pond or a hole in the middle? So I didn't know if you wanted to address how to actually make a donut.
Yep, I'll do that. We'll kind of start blocking this out here soon, and I'll show you how we can accomplish that. Another thing that this is kind of like a final bullet point, and this you won't really see until the end of the kind of the process, I think, is you can also make this area, and this is where beginners usually leave this out. Is you see this often in game design. Like if you ever played a 3D shooter or anything where you've walked up and there's like a fence, and you can't get past the fence, but you're like, if I could get past that fence,
yeah.
There's like another street, there's an alley, there's maybe a car parked there, and you're like, it feels like there's a whole other world behind that fence, but you can't get past the fence. So you can create the sense of scale with that type of stuff. So we should.
I always get confused at why it's so hard to block in players, because there's so many, especially with Destiny, like with like different maps or different raids, there would be like cheese spots where like if you use this super with this weapon out while at this angle in this wall, then you can get behind the map. And then there's like tutorials online that pop up overnight on like how once you're behind the map, you can get to this certain illegal area and get loot, right? And so I don't understand why it's so hard to block players. I don't. But because in my mind, I'm like, just build a wall. Like, but I guess I don't know. I guess even walls have seams. I'm not sure.
Walls can have seams. Depends on the game engine. I don't know which one they're using there, but there's usually ways to circumvent these things. And then like some game engines will have what they call a clip mask. And it's basically just an invisible barrier. And like once you're done, you just like surround the play area in this big invisible barrier, and you try to keep people out with that thing.
So it's almost like you build the map too big, like so that these inaccessible areas like are in the sight line, and then you're like clip masking like half of it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do that, but you want to do it creatively where it's not like you're running down the street and all of a sudden you just can't move.
You just like hit a wall.
Like
an invisible wall.
Invisible barrier.
Yeah.
Just like, boom.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you want to have debris, parked cars, whatever it is.
Okay.
Whatever fits your scenery. And sometimes it's semi-obvious. It's like if I jump
so
hard enough, I should be able to
excited.
get over this thing, but I just can't get over this wall for some reason. It's because the game developer did it on purpose.
Okay. Well, I am so excited to check this out. Do you want me to walk through any of the, I mean, here's some of the
Yes.
inspo that we had for the actual map and the feel of the game. So,
Yeah. So it's a very cartoony game engine, so it won't look nearly this detailed. But these are some good
you're
ideas
saying it
of.
won't look like real life?
Yeah, don't get your. Let's manage some expectations here. It's not going to look like Bioshock or something crazy, but I really like this idea
Mm,
right here
mm-hmm.
of, first of all, the rails. Those are something we could use to control player flow
Mm,
and block players from where they don't need to go.
yeah.
And you could put those rails around and then clip it off so they can't jump over them. So that's one way to kind of restrict flow. But I also like this hill with the temple on it. I think that's something that we could use for a centerpiece in our donut.
No, absolutely. To make it like that's the thing that you're working around in the map.
Mm-hmm.
I love
So
it.
we'll try to block some space off and kind of
You
identify what
were
that'll be.
thinking that the temple would be like high enough that it's unreachable, like they can't walk through the temple, or did you? What were your thoughts
Um,
on?
So it depends. Like this isn't going to be concrete set in stone. It's just kind of a rough outline. But
Hmm.
if we decide like we want the player to go through the middle of the map, you could always build like a path, and then
Mm.
make the inside of that temple a space, and then you can
Okay.
kind of make a shortcut through the middle or something like that. It's just we haven't quite got that far, but it's an option.
And then I think let's see if there was any other photos we wanted to. I think the rest were just cartoony, like inspo for props and assets around. Oh,
Yeah,
this one. Oh, Mount Fuji.
yeah. So
Uh,
I like to have big backgrounds. Like I said, if you don't put stuff in the distance, it feels very much like, oh, I'm in a game, and this is like, the whole level right here. So if you put things in the background, it creates kind of an immersive feeling. So I like to have background props. I think a big like mountain in the background would be a cool one.
hmm. No, it'd be really cool. I'm excited too to see that performance panel, and as we add things like Mount Fuji or a temple, even like what happens is it, or even, we were looking at this one, which was, I know it's going to be hard and you're going to hate me for it, but I really want to attempt the tree blossoms. And I'm worried that the tree blossoms are going to like just kill everything. People are going to be like, what? Like chug, 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 chug.
So
Because
that's
that's going to be a lot
something.
of pieces,
Yeah.
right? Like on one item that I feel could be, I don't know. I
I
don't know.
think that's something we'll have to get more abstract with.
Mm.
So I would envision something like
Oh.
that. Like if you look in the middle of the picture, the one that's coming down and kind of pointing towards the temple, you could kind of make like blobs of pink, and then on those blobs take like a small detail that looks like a flower, maybe an octagon shape or something,
Yeah.
and then just kind of like dot maybe one or two spots on there to just kind of give the illusion that there's a cluster of
Oh
flowers
my
within
gosh.
that blob.
This is the kind of stuff that I need because I'm literally like gonna be in there like blossom, 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 and you're gonna be like, what the fudge? Oh, this is
Yeah, it's
perfect.
those budgets, like poly budgets and stuff, are really tough in game design. Like years ago when I was doing this, like the polygon budgets were really tight, and this kind of reminds me of those same days. I was doing this like in early 2000, I think it was, or yeah, it's probably late
Is
90s,
this like
early
a
2000.
like a real term or are you making this up?
No, no, you have polygon budgets in games all the time. So like right now, I was watching Lana Lux. It's another streamer on Twitch. She's doing some Unity stuff right now, and she goes into, I think it was Maya, something like that, and she builds her assets in there and then exports them to another tool, which breaks them down into smaller subsets. So it takes like it's 10 billion triangles, and then it takes it down to like 10,000 polygons, and then she brings that asset into the game.
Oh,
So
cool.
you build at like a much higher level and much higher fidelity. You can use those higher detailed assets if you're. This isn't something we'll be doing, but you can use
Yeah.
those for like building like promotional material and commercials and stuff like that. And then you could take like this, the
Oh.
smaller, dumbed down version of it, and it's something that your graphics card can handle and put that in the game.
And I always rave about why can't it look like this all the time?
Yeah. They're either building duplicate assets for that, or they're taking the higher poly models and using those to build like
Any idea why we're
your
limit
renders.
why we're talking about polygons as limits? Like, is it like in game development, and it all comes down to polygons? Like what?
Mostly because you only have so much 3D processing power on whatever system you're on. So on the Quest, this is it. I'm running it on the PC, but that's not the only platform it runs on. These are essentially smartphones on your face. So they have an ARM processor on them, and they need to be able to run whatever it is you're throwing at them. So that's why you don't see games on the Quest that are really high fidelity. Uh, they're pretty simple games. The graphics aren't going to be like Half-Life Alyx unless you have a PC. So
I see. Okay.
if
Well,
you've
cool.
never been able to experience Half-Life Alyx, then it might be kind of a hard thing to wrap your head around. But if
I'm
you
gonna look
take
it
a
up real quick.
game, yeah, if you take a game from the Quest and compare it to the quality of a game like Half-Life Alyx, I mean, it is worlds difference. Half-Life Alyx is not a game; it is an experience.
Oh, is it zombies?
It's aliens,
Aliens?
and
Nice.
zombies. But do you have it on your browser to share?
I will share right now. I mean, I'm literally just on Google Images, so maybe
Oh,
it's
let's
representative, but
see.
I will show you. I will show you what I'm looking at. Um,
Yeah, let's see. Do we have?
is this
Uh,
representative?
let me see if I can find a video or something like.
This is
Let's see.
look at this scrolly
Okay.
3D.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's funky.
Yeah. Okay, you've got it. Yeah. So I mean, this is what we
Oh wait,
cannot
this
do.
is on the headset.
Yeah, this is if you have a PC. So this is the quality of
Oh,
game you can run with VR on a PC, and it
oh my
doesn't like
God,
this.
this would
I
be so
I
fun.
have this game. Like I said, it's an experience. It's not a game. It's something completely insane.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, that would be so fun. I'm so
yeah.
jealous. So like, are we just waiting on technology? Like it'll get there, right? Where you don't have to plug
Um,
into a PC.
you could say it'll get there, but then what's the PC gonna be like when the headsets are at this level?
Okay, so
So
here's my theory, and then we can go into what we're actually here for. And you
mhm.
might actually think I'm insane by sharing this, but that's okay. I really have nothing to lose. Um, I think so. Did you hear about the chip that Elon Musk invented, and you implant it in your brain, and it's right now just a medical device, so it can like send electric shocks for certain people who have illnesses that need that sort of thing.
Like epilepsy or something.
But because they're reading brain waves, they're actually really close to things like being able to summon your Tesla with a thought, and then it connects to an
Hmm.
API, and then Tesla's here, right? And so then my next, he also is saying like curing blindness, because they can just essentially like programmatically show you things like, and like rebuild sight with it. And so my idea, and I really hope we live to see it, is that video games and really the internet itself will be in our heads, and we'll just be like, oh, sorry, I was on a
So,
website. What were you saying? Like,
so you, so you want the Matrix, basically.
oh my God, Ed, I want the Matrix. No, seriously, I really feel that we're gonna see it. But anyways, that's just so I feel like then I could have Half-Life Alex, at a blink. So that'd be.
Yeah. So circling back just for one more second, like with
Mm.
the like high fidelity, like AAA games on VR, One path to that might be to kind of circumvent the whole needing a PC thing. Is there's chip manufacturers that are partnering up with telecom, and what they're building is VR platforms that have 5G capabilities. And the hope there is that you can get the latency low enough that you can just pump the graphics from a server in real time. So instead of having a PC on my desk running something that's got these crazy high-end graphics, I can just put my headset on and let it do like online gaming where all the processing's in the cloud.
I mean, you think that would work? It seems so
The latency has to get down. The latency
fragile.
is the big issue. There's been a couple people that have tried this and failed already. Stadia's kind of dwindling with Google. There was another one that kind of paved the way for this. I can't remember the name of it. And that one failed also. So getting that latency down's been the issue. So connectivity is still not where we can pump like high definition video in real time to a gaming environment where you can interact like with like a 3D shooter or something.
Yeah.
So
that would be so cool though.
yeah.
I didn't even know they were working on that. And if you had told me, like if someone else had told me, I'd be like, that sounds fake news, but that would be really, really cool.
I think it's Qualcomm.
Is what it's
Is it AX architecture?
Let's see.
There's an AR VR platform that I think it's Qualcomm is building. Yeah, so
I did not
they want
even
to do
Let's
is
see.
I'm pretty sure it's Qualcomm, but they want to build basically a system on a chip, kind of like the Apple M1 processor, and put that in a headset, and then manufacturers can buy that platform and build their own Oculus or whatever. So they're trying to expand it that way. So it'll be built with 5G in mind. So it won't have a lot of graphics processing power on it, but it'll have the ability to connect to high-speed bandwidth to have something else process all of that video.
I see.
So
I found
that would
this.
be cool.
So it's Neuralink is the name of the device.
Oh, okay.
But apparently in
Yes.
February this was released, and I'm like, I'm telling you, Ed, whenever we're meeting in VR with just our brains, I'll be like, I told you so, and you'll be like, I know, I'm sorry for being an unbeliever.
I won't tell you I told you so. I will think I told you so. And you will
In my general direction.
you will receive my thoughts.
Oh, okay. I'm really excited, seriously, about learning some of these game level basics and you showing me zones. So come show us the wonderful world.
Let's do some tinkering here. I gotta switch my audio devices up, so give me 1 second.
Sounds good.
See
So
if I can
excited.
get this right.
Actually, I'm going to stop sharing so that it doesn't take up.
Oculus audio. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course it would be super helpful if you could see my screen. There we go. So we'll jump into.
It's always
Horizon.
so like your arms are like dislocated.
Yeah, that's because I was
That's
picking
better.
up my controllers and they're like.
That's better.
What's funny is we have meetups on this platform from time to time,
Yes.
and you're in a meetup and like you can tell like people are just kind of like letting their controllers dangle from the little tethers.
Because
And,
they're
like,
walking around like this.
Yeah, instead of like standing like with your arms crossed, you see like derp, like just like wee, like wacky inflatable arm flailing tube guy in the corner, and you're like, yeah, you're just letting your controllers dangle, buddy. I know it. So let's see, did we have a level that we were already working from?
We did. I thought we did. It was like an autumn level or
Or-
something with the truck and the pumpkin.
We're playing around in there.
Oh, right. But
let's
maybe we didn't
try-
create one yet. What were you thinking to start from scratch, or did you want to start from something?
Let's try starting. Let's look at something really quick, and then we'll start maybe from scratch. I think this is. Yeah, let's look at this real fast because there's some stuff that we can kind of point out in here.
Okay.
And
Is
then we
this
can,
this isn't
this,
one I've been in. I don't think.
yeah, you haven't been in this one. I showed this one on the first show we did,
Okay.
and you weren't here for that. And this one is one of the starter kits that they built into like a template that you can use to get started.
Okay.
And there's some good demos in here. And I wanted to show something about like the outside scenery that we haven't really discussed yet. So we talked about like doing like a Mount Fuji type of situation on the map. And this has a good example of how you can accomplish something like that. This is a good
Can you go in the pond?
example.
Can you go in the pond?
So the pond is solid on this one, so it's icy.
Oh.
So, but you could see how this makes it feel big. You can see there's stuff above me, right? There's a hill up there. There's some houses in the background. There's some big hills and trees in the distance. So this one I thought was kind of cool because it shows off that capability. You can see like way out in that direction, there's a house. So you can make things
Oh.
feel bigger than they really are by putting things outside of the
Oh.
playable zone. There's a big mountain there. So this is kind of what I was talking about, to not forget these pieces on the outside of the map. Like this is everything outside of this little circle. This is like their clip mask here.
Yeah.
So you're not supposed to leave that area.
The circle, but
look
what's with the
yeah,
square?
the square.
Yeah.
I
What's
think
with
it's
the
just part of this boundary.
yeah.
I don't know what this is actually marked as. They have it locked. Let's see what this is doing.
And if you're just
It
now
was
joining us, what he is pulling up is sort of like a settings, more details pane that you can do for every object, and it's kind of how you can
okay.
attach
see what
logic
this
to
is.
things as well. But what is
So
it?
this is a grouping of all of those areas in that circle. So they've just grouped it. So if
Okay.
I
Okay.
pull, there it is. It's just showing the boundary of the group. So this is actually like what is blocking the player from moving throughout the outside, but
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of this non-playable space is sitting here for visual purposes
Can
only.
you zoom in on one of the houses that you can't get to?
Yeah, we can actually use the game tools to get in and see, and I even fall through.
Oh no.
You even fall through the level there.
Okay.
But they're way out here. They're a little less detailed, but they don't have to be detailed
No,
because
they
they're
don't have
way
to be. This
outside.
is the thing that I really want to learn is like, especially with like saving processing, is like, okay, obviously the houses that are closer to the player have windows, but then the ones off in the distance, they don't even need those details. But
Yeah.
it looks to me the same asset that's duplicated. I am curious, and this would definitely be like I need to show up at the meetup and ask, like, if you use the same asset multiple times, is it the same, like, does it cost the same to use as building, say, 4 unique houses or 4 identical houses? Like, is it basically just the quantity?
In this engine, I don't believe so.
What does that mean?
I
Like, it's
think
good to have
every
duplicates,
item
or it
is
doesn't
unique.
matter?
I think it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Just in here, in other engines, it's different. I
Okay.
believe there's, like if you're playing something like GTA, like I had this interesting talk with some friends before. So like in Grand Theft Auto, if you're driving or if you're on the street and you see a certain car, then you're likely to probably see that car again because the game engine's saving memory by like repeating the same style of car and then
Okay.
just like maybe swapping the color on it.
Yeah.
So I know game engines do that. I don't think this one does though.
Can you explain,
But
and this might be like super low level dumb, but like game engine versus like is Unity the game engine, and is that what you're programming in? Is it like a framework and like web development? Like what, so that I can understand these terms.
so the game engines they're multiple systems that are working together to provide a platform for the game. So in a given game engine, you might have something that's handling lighting, something's handling sound, collision. There's like a ton of systems that work together to provide like physics and some of the simple game rules. And then you're building on top of that layer. You can think of it as something like a framework, but it's generally like a little bit more complex than that. It's like maybe comparing like Azure to some other like AWS, like those, like to that level of complexity.
I see.
Yeah.
How is this pond built? You think it's just like sheets of material, like squares?
I think it's just a big circle.
Oh,
I think it's
really?
a big circle, and to make it look
Because there's like
icy,
cracks in it. Yeah.
Yeah, they've added some little strips of material to make it look like cracks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is just a simple like box, I think.
Oh my gosh,
or,
you're
an
right.
arch. It's an arch that they've embedded in the ice here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, this is what makes
It's
the editor that they have here pretty unique, is that it only has those 12 basic shapes or 15 basic shapes, and most something like Unity, you go outside the game to build, and you can use like a 3D editor like 3ds Max or Maya, and those things let you edit individual polygons and vectors or vertexes, so you can build from just a basic triangle to, create whatever you want. This you're kind of locked down, but it also makes it to where it's accessible to normal people that don't have experience with this stuff, so they can just drag little shapes together and make things. So
I really feel like it's such a unique way of thinking about building that I really need to learn, because it's even like that tree right there with the snow coming out of it and like the icicles. It's freaking brilliant. And it's so simple,
like this,
but
yeah.
I don't know if I would have ever come up with that. And I think I'm building a lucky cat right now so that we can place it in our level. And I already know I'm doing it wrong because of how many details I'm adding to this stupid cat. And I'm like, frick, I'm like doing this so wrong. Okay. Oh my gosh. Go show one of the snowflakes, because they are like,
yeah,
like they're made out of what is that shape? Oh my god, they're made out of like 3 different shapes, triangles,
there's
bars,
15 different shapes here.
Oh my god.
So we've got some arches, we've got some straight pieces and triangles, and they've just kind of locked these all together.
Oh my god, I love it
to make the snowflakes. It's really cool. I like you have to be kind of a creative thinker to figure out what shapes are going to make that thing you're trying to accomplish. Like the street signs, and again, that attention to detail here is what really sells it.
The street signs!
Yeah, the attention to detail is what really sells it here, because these shapes on their own don't really look like much. You take the snow away, and the level of immersion just drops, right?
That is incredible.
That looks so plain. And then it's just a couple pipes and a ball and a cone.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. Okay, I want to talk. Can you zoom out and show? Oh, those birds, they get me. They're so freaking cute. I want to show. So see how there's like I want to talk about guiding eye line. It's kind of like on a website, how you guide the user's eye from thing to thing, and you have one call to action that like really draws in their attention. And I feel like they're doing the same kind of thing with like the way they've built up the land, and then it bottoms out to this valley where in the distance of the valley you can see I think there was like a couple of houses in the distance, and the lake, and then it kind of goes off, and I thought that was really, really cool.
Right here.
Yeah, well, because see how it's like you've got your stage and then you've got your mountains and the houses in the distance. But if you turn directly behind you, I think that's where it like bottoms out and it's like off in the distance. I can't remember which direction it was in. Where there's no mountains. Oh, those birds! They're so cute. I die. So I wanted to talk about kind of just level design and zoning and like, do you think somebody was just slapping around mountains and was like, yeah, this looks real good? Or do you think it was like very pattern procedure?
I think this was probably pretty well planned. This is one of the more like detailed maps that they've got in here for a starter
Yeah.
kit. So one thing that you can notice is they used like these big balls to create.
Are they
like,
actual
hills.
spheres or are they flat on the bottom?
I think they're flat on the bottom. No, I could be wrong. Let's
Oh,
see. We'll unlock one here. Yeah, they're full. They're full circles, which would explain why I fell through it. It seems that shapes that are not square in this don't have very good collision detection, and you.
I was going to
fall
ask
very
you about
easily.
that. Can we have them walk on a circle? You don't think so?
You can, but what I've noticed is you have to build a square structure underneath of it, or you
Oh,
fall through it. And that even goes for circular shapes, like this one sometimes. When you step in the crack between one shape and
shut
another,
up.
sometimes you'll fall
Really?
through. Yeah, I've noticed some really
Oh,
weird stuff. So
okay.
uh,
So
we'll have
stick
to
to,
play
if
test
we're
this.
walking areas, stick to,
Well,
well, so that's the thing
we don't have
about,
to
because
stick there.
you
We
told
can.
me to start in a blank world to build assets. And I think that was
Mhm,
brilliant because you don't want to drag in a bunch of extra crap when you import a world. But
mhm.
also, it's really intimidating having absolutely nothing. Like I hate the thought
It
of like
is.
walking into like nothingness and building a stage because of these things of like, oh look, you just fall through that stage. Way to go! Like I don't. It's intimidating. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how you suggest we go forward with creating this world.
Let's do the scary. Let's go blank world.
I don't like it. Okay, and then like see what you're looking at in that blank world right now. It's like a plane of, why would they even give you the plane? I don't, is that just to give you a reference point? Oh my gosh, the
And
typing on this
I'm just
keyboard
naming
is
this.
so
Yeah.
hard.
Oh, this is the worst part of this. Um,
Because the keyboard was like in my desk the first time I tried to do it, and I had to like physically move my desk because I just couldn't get rid of the keyboard. Oh gosh.
So this is still like beta. So one of the biggest gripes I have is there's no I-beam.
Yes,
So you can't, if you misspell something, like if I misplaced a letter in Ninja, I have to erase the
the
entire
whole
thing.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a temporary name. These are changeable, so we can worry about that later.
Aztec Consulting. In the main area of Horizon, you can hide inside some of the rocks by tricking the boundary detection.
Oh, do we have some Horizon players in chat today?
Yeah. It looks like Aztec was giving us that tip of
Nice.
they've already found a cheese.
Yeah, hopefully they improve some of the hit detection.
Mm.
They do all of their collision events server side, so there's not a lot of stuff happening on the Oculus as far as collision detection, as far as from what I understand. So that means there's a little bit of delay sometimes. Like I said, latency is a huge issue in gaming. So if you're throwing a ball in this, you might see it like pass through the object that it's supposed to collide with before it actually collides with it, and then it might like rubber band back. It does weird
Oh.
things like that.
Oh, cool.
It's
Weird.
not perfect.
I
It's not
forgot
cool.
that.
It's not a good thing, but
I mean, it's kind of cool.
I know
Like,
what you mean. It's cool that you know it. I know. I'm just teasing.
okay, this plane, we
Mhm.
we don't want that plane to be seen like in a
Yeah.
once
So
we build.
it's a
What is
weird,
it?
unique object here. So it's a flat like 2D plane.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have
That disappears when
a
you're underneath it, which is really confusing.
yeah. So there's nothing else really like it. It is something that can be turned on and off.
Oh,
But for beginning level, it is solid and you do not fall through it. So it's nice to
okay.
have. It also has grid markers, so this can help you with some scale stuff early on. Speaking of scale, this is a godsend. Like this is what you want in starting out your any kind of asset. Is your spawn point is the same height as a player that is spawned in the game. So like what you don't want to do is build, say, a door or something, and you're like, without this reference, you go in and you build a door.
You just built.
And you're like, okay, this is a door, and
So I may have already messed up because
here.
I was like, ooh, my lucky cat's too big. You know what I'll do? I'll make my player bigger. And then I made my player bigger.
Yeah. So
you think that actually changes the player size when they spawn in?
it is that here, I'll show you in a second.
Oh
so
my
you're like,
God, you
okay,
just
I
made the
built a
cutest door.
And oh, that's a huge door. Right? So
Right.
what you want to do is you take the player thing and you kind of line it up here. And you're like, oh, that's how big it should be. And then you can kind of scale things to where they need to be. Say, all right, this door needs to be more player sized.
Oh, nice.
And I
Okay.
would probably not scale these items together because you see what kind of wonky stuff it does to the door handle. But
That's
now
beautiful. That's
yeah.
beautiful. I think that's what all door handles look like, darling.
And then I've got a battery-powered headset, so I feel like it is going to die soon.
Okay.
It's
Can you
giving
plug
me-
in, or what's the
Yeah,
plan?
so I need to plug in. So give me 1 second. Let me see if I can connect this to something else.
And I don't know if you saw earlier, it was before you put your headset on, that Jeffrey Barnes had said 9,000 polygons for blossoms, question mark.
Can you talk
Whenever,
so I can see if this works?
hello, I am talking and you are not hearing. Hello. I'm so excited to learn about building this
So I've
level
got to change my device here so I can actually hear you.
and also how not to just completely kill the performance of our game.
There we go. I've got you back.
Hey.
I needed to plug into my headset, and the problem with that is I usually catch it on one of my controllers, and it will rip it from my ears. So just expect that. Like, it's a drinking game now. So every time I rip the earbuds from my ears, maybe we should make this family friendly. It's a bingo game now. So you can mark your bingo cards every time I bump that. So let's see. Try to face the camera at least while I
I
do
like
this.
how your way of making a drinking game friendly is to go straight to bingo.
Yeah.
Okay, you just deleted the world's most perfect door.
Yes,
I loved
I
that
did.
door.
So this is like the point where you look at this and go, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here, and you leave. That I've done that a million times. That is not a feeling that I have not had. Everybody has that feeling. This is overwhelming. Like a blank space is completely overwhelming. So what I like to do is take just white blocks and go, this is going to be something. Maybe this will be the center of my map, and this is going to be, the temple. How big should that temple be? We need to like kind of figure that out. These blocks may change over time, so we might put something like that in and say, all right, maybe this is about the center of my map, and that's how big the temple might be.
Okay.
So at least I have an idea, right, of where that could be. So I don't know if that's a good size, but we'll go with that for now. And I wouldn't start building like a temple right away. What I might do is think about how the player is going to move around the donut, because we said we were going to do a donut. And one of the things I said is not to forget about making it vertical. Like this is a 3D space. It should have some vertical sense to it. So and a lot of beginners, they're like, okay, that's the thing. And then we run around and it's this flat box. And maybe they'll put some walls around it. I've seen a lot of stuff. It's okay to start that way. It's not a bad thing. I'm just trying to give you a little heads up as to what type of problems you might run into later when you start, making this want to look more professional. So what we want to do here is we can kind of rough out, like we might want some vertical space that we're going to go up a hill. So we're going to want... on our map, we want to go up a hill. And of course, if you go up, you're going to probably end up coming back down. And we'll bring in another block. And then we'll kind of block out. And it's okay to leave blocks up here that I'm copying by accident. So we might want to have an area that's raised from the rest of the map here. So this at least, it's not like set in stone by any means, but at least, we're putting something down that says, okay, we're going to have a hill here. We run up the hill. There's something on the hill. We can come back down the other side. And then once we block all this out, I'll skip ahead just a little bit. We can come back to this in a moment. Because what we're going to do is eventually we'll say, okay, this is a hill. I'm going to make some rocks or something to fill in that hillside. So you might come in, build some rocky spaces, something like that. And then you can kind of fill in this space, and then you can create a path through the rocks, so it's a hillside you're walking up. So this gives you kind of like a guideline as to where things might go. So we'll take these out for now because we're not quite to that stage yet. So we had some like landmarks and things, right? Some, we wanted to say, like we don't want the player to get lost while they're walking this loop. So we want to have something up on the hill. Do you have that list of stuff we were talking about handy?
I do. Let me pull it up.
So that's one of the downsides of being in VR, is you can't look at like notes that you've taken and stuff.
So are you the landmarks you had listed out are Zen Garden, Shrine, an arch, a koi pond, a courtyard, and a bamboo forest.
Yeah. So like
I'm surprised that like you pull in landmarks this early on.
Well, you want to know where you're going to put some things. So for example, I would think like this area over here where we've got our hill would make a good spot to have like the bamboo forest, right?
Okay.
So you could have, just say that, the bamboo forest is going to be over here. Maybe some of the trees create like an archway or something. So we'll have a forest there. Let's grab a circle. We'll say, maybe the koi pond's out front here somewhere.
Oh.
We have some arches and things. So maybe the arches will be on this side of the hill. So when you're running around, you go through the forest, come back through the arches. The koi pond is here.
What about a Zen garden? What kind of shape would you?
That's a good
note
one.
With that.
Like, we might have to use a little bit of text with some of these. So we might have. We probably need some kind of landmark on this side. I don't know what needs to go there yet, but we might run out of space for all of these landmarks too. We listed probably more than what we'll use.
Right.
So we might want to take some of those. We may end up building them and just using them as that outside area that we can't get to, but we see.
Okay. Oh,
so
right.
Just because we build something, it doesn't mean it's going to go to waste if we don't use it. Those can always be like external pieces that are just visual pieces. So let's see. If we are getting confused as to what all of this stuff is, we could always plop some text on it. So we have a text block.
This is not how I would have expected to plop text on something. Oh, this is funny. Okay.
So we could always label something if we want to until we get it built out.
And then I understand. And you paint it like anything else. How funny. Yep. Okay.
This is it's so cool the way this stuff works. Love it.
Okay, so I had this issue. Do you see how your Zen garden is a little because you like aligned it right on top? How do you fix that? Because I had that issue with assets when I was building my cat, and I had to just essentially make it stick up out of it so it wouldn't glitch through it.
That is exactly what you have to do. So if two shapes overlap, the engine has a hard time figuring out which one is the top. So it just goes crazy and starts trying to show them both. You just have to raise one above the other. It's similar to like web dev and you're like z-index +1. You just got to bring it up just a little bit.
Okay.
Or it goes a little crazy. And these things can scale too. If I don't want the text to be so gigantic, we can bring that down. And they scale just like anything else. So this gives you like an idea of how we can block stuff out.
So something like as you're building this out, it's so brilliant. But what I'm wondering is, I get a little overwhelmed with is this big enough? Is this small? Does it need to be smaller? Like, how do you, when you're
Totally
walking
agree.
through this alpha version of it, how do you know? Like, ooh. How do you know if you've like made it way too small or too big?
Yeah, so I guess it depends on how we want our game to play. We need to start thinking about like how long this should take. So we're going to be running around shooting targets. Do we want
Yeah.
that to take, do we want to have a timer? Is it going to take 1 minute? Should we be able to run the loop one time in a minute, several times? How many times should
I
we
see.
be able to run
Well, that, and
this?
I think it also depends on how dense
Hmm.
the assets are within this loop. Because if they're pretty bare, it would take no time at all to find the targets. But if they're like, if you have to like hunt for where the target is.
Yeah. So I'm getting a sense that this might be either just right or a little bit too small.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably about there. It's rare that I actually hit the nail on the head the first time, but I think this is pretty good actually. I think this centerpiece helps anchor it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think got done just about right.
I
So
guess my next thing is this gray area we're going to hide eventually. So we need to build another floor, or no? Is that not how it works?
Yeah, we're going to have to build
Or do you modify the gray area and you leave it?
So the gray area, if you check this out, like this is actually a good step to take now, because this I think helps get your creativity going. This is your environment block, and most game engines actually have something similar to this. So what you do with this is you set the environment settings in here. So this is a very special block. It controls the time of day, which controls all of the lighting for this. So there's a concept of like baked lighting and real-time lighting. I don't think there's any real-time lighting in this. So you can't do things like have flashing lights that go on and off.
What would you have flashing lights for?
You can't give a player a flashlight and have them like walk around and illuminate surfaces. All of the lighting is semi just like built beforehand. Like when you compile code, like it's compiled. It's there. Like the lighting's the same way. It's you develop the lighting and then the lighting kind of gets baked in. You can't change it after the game starts. So this is one of the places where
you're saying like we can't have like a dusk setting where sunset actually happens. Is that what you're talking about?
Right. So one of the features people asked for in the forums was to be able to like control this at game time. And I don't think that's going to happen in the near term because that's something that's very hard for the hardware is to change the lighting. Okay. So you can do the lighting and kind of compile that into the environment. So once that lighting turns dynamic, that's when the headsets or the hardware starts having to really calculate a bunch of new values. So calculating light is expensive. So I don't think we'll see that in this engine.
Can you show me those variables again? So we've got daytime, sunrise.
So
can you set one and show me, or will it not show us?
Boop.
What'd you set it to?
This is night.
Oh.
So if we go in, now it's nighttime. And you can see the gradient that is like the world, the skybox is what they call that. The skybox is changed to like a night.
Where are you supposed to keep your environment box? Is there like keep it below the floor, keep it in the sky? Like where?
So you can't physically see it in game, so it doesn't really matter as long as you can find it.
I just didn't know if there was like best practices for developers making worlds. Like you always keep your environment box by the floor. Like is that a?
So it depends on the engine. In other game engines, like there is literally a physical like box, like this white box, for example, would actually like participate in being the sky. So you would have either that asset with it, or it would actually be that asset itself. So this doesn't let you control where the skybox actually is.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of built in. So
Okay.
it doesn't really matter as long as you can find it, and you can make this bigger if you want to make it bigger.
Oh.
So you can locate it. Usually I keep it just up in the sky because I don't know, something feels intuitive about it being above.
So
But
what do
there's
you think for like going forward? Obviously, it's changeable. It's a drop down, but like, how do you get started without getting frozen by these decisions? You just like go with one. You're like nighttime,
Yeah.
perfect. Let's do it. Like what?
So we need to figure out like what we want our game to be like. And then I wanted to show this while we're in here too. See this little Boolean value? Show grid.
Show grid. Yeah. What's up with that?
Blip.
Oh
Our grid
no!
be
But
on.
what? Okay, if you turn
On.
off the grid, do you still have something to stand on?
No. So,
Oh God.
Like I
This
said,
is the stressful part. You have to create land.
Yeah,
I
you
hate
have
this
to
part.
be on
I
the
don't even know what.
platform, or you will fall through. But it's handy.
Are
to
you
have.
gonna hide it? Is that the plan? After you've built land?
I would hide it.
Yeah?
Eventually.
Okay.
Once we get to the point where we're not going to fall through and annoy the heck out of ourselves by falling all the time, then yeah, I would just turn it off when we don't need it.
My gut instinct is to just take a square and make it as big as we need right now, and then that is our grid, our new grid, and then we turn it off. But do you leave the grid on until you're pretty much ready to go? Like what?
I
What's
leave it on
your?
for a good amount of time until I feel like I don't need that the grid like pattern anymore, because it does help with scale a little
Oh,
bit. I think
okay.
it's what probably helps me build this box the right size the first time, because I've kind of toyed with the tools long enough to, okay, well, like this amount of grid space here, even though I
Yeah.
didn't count the squares, I can kind of just out of muscle memory, I guess, remember that's about the right size. We can move our
So we've
little
created
pawn around here.
landmarks so that they can, first of all, we've built the donut essentially, and landmarks planned out where landmarks are going to be. But what about background, bigger, like Mount Fuji? When does that stuff come in?
That can come way later but we could also put like blocks in just to represent that stuff.
What that's
So
going to
we could
be?
come in like with like maybe a big pyramid or something and just make it really big and place it in the distance. So we can at
Cool.
least get an idea of like where that might be in the scenery.
Okay.
Um,
Oh my God, this is going to look so cool. I can't wait.
and
Oh,
it
I'm so
depends on,
excited.
what you want to start with. Like, what do you want to start with as like an asset? Do you want to start with your, outside mountain and, kind of detail that out? Or do you want to start with I would probably personally start with the centerpiece and work my way out.
Okay.
So I'd probably start building like,
So fun.
what is the temple sitting on? Like, I don't want it to just be a temple just embedded in what? Like, it needs to have like a little maybe rock base around it. And
Yeah.
then I'll build the temple on top and kind of detail that out. And then start with the path around and build some of the landmarks in the path, and make sure that I make like a natural way to like go up and down the ramps here. So they're not like physically just like ramps. So that's kind of where I would start. I would start
Okay.
with this. Let's see, what else do we have here? It is still nighttime. So we didn't... Come on, zoom. There we go. We didn't look at all of our things yet. We also have...
Whoa.
There's overcast.
So many options. Ooh, I
like
love
that one. That's kinda cool.
overcast. I
And we
love
can also
it.
control the fog density
Oh
here.
my
So you
God.
can make
That
it
is
like
what we
super
this.
moody.
Don't even change it. This is what we need. I love it so much because I really wanted to work on like a rain effect in like one of the corners. So if we had overcast the rest of the map, that'd be so sick. And it makes Mount Fuji just like mwah, like, oh my God, I love it so much.
Yeah, so you can dial that up and down as much
That
as
is
you like.
so cool. Although
And you
I
can
could
change
see
that as
why
at
it'd
any
be
time
cool
too.
Wait, you can change fog? I thought you said you can't change these
Not
variables.
not in real time. So while I'm building, I can change the fog, but I don't have like
okay.
a script
Okay.
that I can run to alter it.
I see. Okay.
There's just so
What's
we can
Misty
look at-
Marsh? What's Misty Marsh?
So this is like
What the heck?
the
my God.
nighttime version, I think, of what we just had. So this is kind of like
Oh,
gloomy.
shut up.
There's like a fart fog in the air. It's like green. Like, kind of like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Oh, that is cool.
So there's a bunch of these. There's winter skies.
wow.
That's like a blue, very blue, foggy one.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Twilight. That one's kind of cool. I use this in the level that I'm working
Yeah,
on now.
I saw that one.
This is just straight up dark. Like this is night.
Wow. How cool is this?
Then there's like a dusk one. Overcast is that one. I think we saw overcast, right? Sunset's kind of cool.
Oh,
If,
wow.
that actually might be a kind of cool
Oh,
one.
I know. That might make like, oh, yeah, that looks awesome.
That has a very cool
I
feel
could
to it.
see some like really fun looking clouds too, like off in the distance.
Mhm.
This is really cool. Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
love this.
So this is something I would suggest playing with at the very beginning because like you're getting ideas here just by changing these. Like how do
Mm.
we want to build our stuff, and does it, like, we have a lot of pinks and reds in our color profile for our like little artboard we built.
Mhm.
So, and I'm like facing weird directions here, but we have like the pink trees and stuff. So we might get into the game building part here and think, that, put the trees in the map. They may either go with this pink gradient in the background or they may clash.
Mm.
So that's not a big deal though, because we can always come in and change it, but at least it gives us some ideas to work with. And we might put those pink trees in there and then go over to, which one was the other one? Overcast?
Mm.
Or no?
Uh,
Twilight? Nope, not Twilight. Misty.
I think it was like overcast, but you had the fog up more.
Yeah, so we might put the pink trees into this one and the blue contrasts with the pink better. So we
Yeah.
might change this as we go.
I
but
am curious though, like if the
it is
sunset
cool.
would either complement the assets we're building or if it would clash. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to find out. This is so cool.
Yep.
Oh my God. Okay, so I really want to go build some bamboo. That would be like the next thing I do, but I feel like maybe that's too detailed. What do you do now? Like what's the next
Okay.
step in level designing?
Let's see. We talked about like creating a player path. So we've got kind of a rough outline. I think I'm gonna take on this the shrine here and I think I'm gonna put like a little mountainous base around it. I'm gonna build that first, and then
So you're
I'm gonna
ready
go
for that. You
through.
don't need to build a floor or any other zones. Like you're actually ready to start on an asset.
Yeah, I think just starting on an asset like that will give me a pretty good idea of what's going to happen next.
Could you show us how you'd build like that rock base and start on the house or temple?
Yeah, so I'm thinking like we saw that picture of the white temple,
Yes.
and I think that was a pretty cool start. So I might take this and maybe like shrink this down, just kind of get it out of my way a little bit. But I also want to keep this kind of shape here. I want to fill this space kind of. I think I
Okay.
like that outline. And then I might take something. I'm just kind of like, these things are never perfect the first time, but I'm thinking
So excited.
like creating like a rock base is either going to take some shapes like this, and I might have to, like, I want this to be, I think, above. So if I'm up on this elevated piece here,
Yeah.
I don't want like, maybe I do.
Do you
So
like I was gonna say, do you want to be level with it or do you want it to be above you when you're on that piece?
yeah, that's something I need to figure out. Do I want to be like
I think
with
it should
just the
be I
door
think you should still
here?
have to look up a little bit, like when you're on the hill to
And then
see
it
the
has to also be like realistically accessible. Like you don't have just a temple in isolation, like with no path to get in it. So like we don't want like a complete like moat around it, but at least one side has to be the entrance.
So the
something, right?
hillside has to be the entrance then.
Yeah, I think it would be. So I might want to like have this connect to the front of the building somehow. So
Like
that's
with just like
something
a
I
flat
need to think of.
piece or a
Not
path or
sure.
something.
Yeah,
Cute
like a
little.
path or something like that. But at least I have an idea of where that might go. So I would take something like this though, and maybe like build kind of like a rocky cliff type of thing. So we'll take this and
Triangles. I never would
just
have
kind of
used
mash up.
triangles.
And you could always simplify these after you get kind of a rough shape going
How do you
of what
how
this
how would
looks
you
like.
simplify them?
So if there's too many, like I might be able to take another shape to make what I've created. So I don't have a good example yet, but these might align to where I'm like, okay, this probably would have worked better.
I
Maybe I
see.
need to just put one of those in there instead.
I see.
That actually might work good for
Oh
like
yeah,
this
for how it
side.
connects.
Like
Yes.
it connects through here somehow.
Oh.
And let's see, I can get it to line up there. That's a little better. And even
Did
having a
you
little,
snap that or did you just line it up by eyesight?
it's somewhat snapped, I think. Having a little lip there is not bad either,
No, yeah.
because it stops that like flashy, like where they're trying to
Oh,
occupy the same
right.
space.
Yeah.
And depending on if we decide whether the temple is something we can go inside of or cut through, I could probably just leave these shapes where they are and just build on top of them.
I was gonna say this is the part where I'm curious about because now we put a temple on top of it. Are you worried about things poking through? Here's my
so
rock.
there's going to be some adjustments that have to be made, and it doesn't need to be perfect either because we can fill in with little pieces too. But then I might take something like this shape again.
Do you wait till the end to paint?
Yeah, I
Yeah?
usually get pretty far before I start coloring. Oops, I don't know what I
Okay.
did there. I think I copied when I meant to just, there we go,
Drag
meant to
it?
do that.
Oh,
And then I might get like a piece like
I'm
this
so
and just
excited,
kind of
Ed.
plop
This is
that
so cool.
down on top.
What is this? Is this the temple or is this more rock?
I think this would be like one of the base pieces. I think I do need some more. I need something on top of this, I think. So it needs like a rockiness, but it also needs to like have a outdoorsy like platform too.
Oh,
So I need to mess with this a little bit, but
like a house
would put-
foundation?
yeah, like I think it needs something else. So what I might do is take these and kind of pop these down a little bit. It's getting a little too tall. So we'll take that and kind of shrink that down. And then take that one down. So I kind of like the way this is going.
I am so excited to see it come together.
There we go. So this is, I'm just filling in now. I've got like the rough outline. I'm filling in bits. And then what's nice is if you've ever done any kind of like actual like drywall, like real life, like carpentry type of stuff, you can use tricks that you use in like home building. So your walls in your home, depending on where you're from, but most U.S. construction, like it's drywall and it goes, ceiling to floor, but the joints at the floor don't really like meet up to anything. Like you have like carpet and then you see like you have trim molding and stuff around. So you kind of use that same concept where, let's see if I have something in here. Like this isn't level to the ground.
Yeah.
I might
What are you going to do? What are you
might
going to
either
do?
poke this down, through the ground. Let's make a gap on purpose for a minute. Say I have something like this, but I really like the way this lines up. What you can do is go, well, I'll just, maybe hide that with a bush, right? Just take that and go, make a bush, jam that in there, and then that turn that green, and that's a bush that covers that up. So you can create like little organic pieces that cover up your mistakes.
Did you just make your box tall enough so that things aren't poking through? Is that what you did?
Yeah, I shrunk these down.
Oh, okay.
Essentially the same thing you just said, but in reverse.
Okay.
But I might, take these in and just keep working with that shape until I get what I want. And then I'd probably make like a temple piece on top here. We'll shrink that one down. Then I can use the alignment tools to help with this. So if I want to center this
I get
with the
so
other box,
confused with the alignment. I like every time I turn on the snapping, I get so lost. So you turned it on, and now you have these orange balls. Oh,
so if
what's with the why'd you make multiple
so
rectangles
there's 3 of
versus
them.
one?
3 balls in here, and then if you touch this one, it will align the bottom of the shape to wherever it's touching. So that one's going to align the bottom. If I grab the middle one, it will align the middle of the shape to where it's touching.
Oh, you have to grab it by the one you want. I was just literally like grabbing it randomly and trying to make it snap with those. Okay.
So you could do something like this, and it starts getting like that temple shape. And then
So we have a comment. Panna said, interesting. Horizon seems to generate light maps at runtime with slight delay after you move level stuff. Those shadows left behind for a while. I know. I actually was pondering those. This temple is looking sick, first of all, but also, yeah, there are shadows that go away, I think, after a second.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with the light being baked. So whenever you put a new element in, it creates the lighting for it. And what you can't do is like create a light that's flickering, because it would have to calculate all of those shadows in real time.
That, right?
So it does it one time and kind of bakes it there during build mode. When I'm in game mode, those lights, those shadows and things are not going to change. Like that's not something that the headset has to calculate anymore.
Okay.
So I'm starting to get a temple here, it looks like.
Oh my God, I love it so much. Wait, okay. Are you going to do like the roof details now, or do you like leave it at this point and then you go and do this kind of level of detail to everything? Like what's the next? How do you do it? It's
totally up to you. I probably would fixate on this for a bit, just because that's how I roll. Like I will get super focused on this until I get bored with it. I also, at this point, would probably go look at a photo again, because I'm getting like a rough outline of what I remember, but I'm totally forgetting like what it looks like. I'm just
so impressed with how far you got based on memory. Like, yeah, I think the iconic thing is going to be the peaks that you're talking about that taper off into this like upward turned corners on the roofs, which I think, we saw, I think it was in the last level you showed me, they had an archway and it was made with like just 2 poles and the macaroni shape. But I'm wondering if we could use macaroni shape upside down to get that tilted upward smiling roof.
Yeah, I think I'd have to look at what you're seeing, because
I'm gonna share my screen.
So there's
real quick.
These, and then there's these,
their screen,
and then let's see if I press the right button here. I don't have to take off my headset, and I can see what you're showing. So I can see my screen now. Oh, you can see.
Can you see?
Okay, you're sharing your screen. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to show the tilted.
I see.
Next one. Where is it? Hang on, let me find this one. That one is got the little corners and they tilt up in a smile.
Yeah, so what I would do is try to break this down into lines. You can't see what I'm pointing at, so this like I'm pointing at things and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm in
here. I'm gonna add you back to the stream.
It's actually go back, because I was. Oh yeah. Yeah. So if you look at the gold part on the roof, and you follow the roof line down,
yes, what
I see is a pyramid shape, and then the up peaks would be an additional triangle or pyramid shape that's overlapping it.
Can you show me what you're talking about in VR?
Yeah, you can show my screen again. I just wanted to kind of
that
real quick, and then let me get back in here.
I really want to see how you can draw this, because that's. I
will make an attempt.
I'm so excited.
So we'll grab a pyramid here.
Okay.
Then I'm going to expand this out, and I think I accidentally locked. If something is in your face, it will not let you drag it for some reason. See the red lines? If I'm on top of it, that throws me off every once in a while. I got to remind myself,
that you have to back up.
I'm in the cube. I need to move out. Sorry if this is jerky, but I need to get this.
No,
in
you're
place.
fine.
And then I'm going to grab the middle ball and try to align that for a second. And this snapping stuff, you can control snapping. So in build settings, so if I press build on this controller and pull up my menu and then go to the gear on the far right side and select build settings, I can control the grid size. I would not put it to 0. I heard there's a glitch if it goes to 0. So don't go to 0 until they fix that. I've heard people's levels will go black if you do that. So don't cross the streams there. Don't go past.
Wait, look
1.
down. Is your grid there? I'm confused. Where's your grid?
So it doesn't actually change the physical, like, the grid element that's down there. But here, let's do this. Let's max this guy out. When you see the magnet on my controller illuminated, that means that it is snapping to the grid. And,
wait, what? Is it?
What is happening?
No. Did it go snap to the grid?
Yeah, it's snapping way. Uh-oh.
Well, where did you expect it to snap?
Not down there.
But your grid is down there.
Let's try 50. Let's see if that'll get it. The grid size may have been too big. There we go. So did that go? Yeah. Nope, that's not. It's that one.
I'm
they put
so
blocks in weird spaces. So now that I have snap on, these are going to move 50 centimeters, I guess it says, at a time. Let's try 10.
I don't get it.
10 meters. 25 meters.
You're saying that there's like a 3D grid around us now?
Yep. So see what I try to drag it.
Who wants to live in that kind of world?
Yeah, even 25. There it goes. So you can see the other grid point right there.
Gross.
If I move it there, there's one here.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big grid. So that's why the 100 meters went way bananas.
I understand. What was what does it start off at?
So you can see all the little stars around me?
Oh, yeah.
That's your grid. So that's 1 meter. And then I had it on 1 centimeter, I think.
Yeah?
Which is
like originally?
So there's a grid that you can't see within it because it'd be so many grid lines, it'd look like snow. Okay. So it stops drawing them at about 10 centimeters, I think.
Okay. So what do you work with then normally? What do you put it at?
Depends on what you're building. So if it's something really big like this, I might have it up high. But if I'm building something tiny like your little cat that you're working on, I might have it down really low.
Are you saying to not have a grid is insane?
At first.
That's how I've been working. So
it makes things super difficult to not have a grid because you can't really align stuff like this.
Yeah,
so
you just eyeball it. You're like, yeah, that looks good. That looks real good.
Getting the slope of that roof is probably going to be difficult, so I want to kind of come down.
Yeah, you got to make it squatty. Oh, I'm so excited to see this.
Like this, and then this is where some color might help because
you can't really see the difference
enough to really like see where this shape starts and this shape ends.
Dude, you got to slap some red on there.
Yeah, actually, it was green, wasn't it? It was a green roof, I think.
Yeah. Wow, your memory.
So white building with a green roof.
Oh God.
And then it overlapped too. So I do want to take this and expand it out some. So something like that, and then I need to realign the center because it got off center again. So this is kind of the hard part. Like, is it lining up with the center on this one? So you gotta kind of finagle this and hope that was right. I think that's about right, though. It's really hard in 3D. It looks like it's off.
Yeah, it looks off, but I don't understand how.
So I might try to change.
I don't understand how to fix it.
My snap to be just a little bit bigger so I don't move the variations as much. There we go. Oh, no, it seems to... Did that do it?
Did it?
Yeah.
It looks better?
So changing the grid size helped me line that up because there's less grid float in there. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So we got the general like roof. I think it needs to squat just a tiny bit more. Just my opinion.
Yeah. At least. Well, so the one on the very top is the tallest one, and then the next two layers of roofs are very squat, very, 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 very squat.
So the top one's taller, you say?
Yeah, the top one I think is right around where you
Let's
first
come.
had it, and then after that you
Okay.
get like you almost pancake them, and you just have the
All right.
lopes.
And then I might trying to figure out if these are going to be pyramids or if they're going to be triangles. So there needs to be something on the edge, I think, that kind of turns these back up. So I need to turn the grid down again because it's making them stick in weird places. So I think, let's see, is it going to be a pyramid shape that makes it? Yeah, I think it's going to be a pyramid. And we need to squish it. So if you keep dragging something by accident, you can always just lock that into place. That might help. If you're going to group and move something, make sure you unlock it, though, because you'll leave pieces behind your group. And that's weird. So we might have to, like, squish just the right way to get that shape the way we need it. I'm trying to figure out, like, how this might go here. So, yes, it's not as easy as it looks on the photo. And then the grid is really working against me now. Probably because it's on the corner of something. And if you want to turn snapping off, you can always just click it off with your thumb. But I'm going to kind of mess with this idea for a second and see where I can go with it. So that looks like it's kind of working, but not exactly what I want. So I might mess around with that a little bit. It looks like there needs to be some sort of like corner piece though that turns out.
Oh, a corner piece. Oh, I didn't even think of that.
So the downside to having just blocks to work with is I don't have, like in another editor like Maya or something, I could take this vertex and snap it to that one and create a different shape out of this. I don't have that in here. So I need to be creative as to how I create these little edge pieces. So these are going to be difficult, I think. And then you have to worry about it protruding through the bottom here too. And that's something I can't really just cover up.
You know, we could have some sort of decoration, like a golden, like hanging thing on each corner, because different temples have different. So we could cover it up if you needed it to poke through.
Yeah, this doesn't seem to be doing what I want either. Like I can't quite grasp this one yet. So it needs to go, might be a combination of shapes. Like I might need to go up with it and then have another one flipped over under it that comes up, something, I don't know. So I have to play with that one a little bit, I think, and look at a photo again. But you would need essentially like another triangle piece that comes up out of it, I think. So we'll have to play with that one and figure something out. See, we've got...
I was wondering if we could use the noodle, flip it upside down, squish it super flat, and like create this lip that just like sucks up. You see what I'm saying?
Or this noodle?
It doesn't matter.
So you can...
like, and then like put like that smiling shape and then like fill in the gaps. That is what I was wondering. Like, so like it's massive. You make the noodle go from one edge of the roof to the other, and then you make the smile. That's where the smile is, you know?
So this will scale equally. So
you can squish it flat like a panini.
Like a panini, I love it. Like
hey, we just got rated by C# Fritz and
all right.
Crema Carter. Would it be helpful to place the image you're working on of the temple in the background of the VR world so you can look at it for reference?
That would be awesome.
That would be
not
sick.
A feature,
can you do it? Also, welcome, Raiders. Hi. Hello. Mwah. Thank you so much for the raid, C# Fritz. We are currently working on building out a temple in Horizon, which is a Facebook created VR world, and Ed and I are creating a game, and we want it to be Ninja Kendoko inspired. And right now Ed is trying to squish a noodle, and he squished it on the wrong axis.
Did I?
Yeah, I meant the other way. Like if the noodle was laying there on the table, you pushed your hand on it.
So this way?
Yeah, that way. And then
Okay.
like just put that on one of the sides of the roof. Like, and then yeah.
So
We're
one of the-
trying. We're
one of the-
attempting to get
yeah.
temple shapes where the lip of the temple roof is a little bit smiley.
Yeah, one of the hard parts of this is going to be. Oops, I'm moving blocks underneath now. One of the hard parts of this is the fact that it's on the diagonal axis, and it's harder to work with these shapes when they're on a diagonal for some reason. So, like, I got to get it rotated just right, or it's not going to stretch right. And then,
there's that rotate tool. I always get so intimidated by it.
and then it looks like I need to adjust my. So just like I can adjust my grid, I can adjust my snap angle as well.
Oh.
So the angle in which this rotates on that little tool is tighter now. So getting these things lined up on a diagonal is really troublesome.
I'm going to share my screen real quick just to show the inspiration. This is what we're attempting with the how the roof goes like this. But in Horizon, you only have, how many shapes was it, Ed?
15.
So you only have 15 shapes. So we're attempting to take multiple different shapes to get this roof look. And the temple will be the centerpiece of our map for our game. So I'm going to put Ed back on.
I think that kind of had the effect you were hoping for, but we're going to have like this little horn piece underneath if we do this. So it somewhat works. But there has to be a way.
Okay, I love it so much. There has to be a way to make this shape.
Yeah, so here's the shapes we have. I think it needs to be a triangular shape.
So you put it going. You put it going through the center.
Yeah.
I was imagining we would have 4 of these noodle pieces on each outer edge. Would that not work?
Yeah, let's try that. So if I grab this though and I shrink it this way, it makes it fatter like that. So
right.
I can embed those kind of in the middle. We still got that piece underneath to deal with. So you could try this if you'd like. I don't know if I'm doing it right.
No, like okay, so the right edge of the noodle that you're moving back and forth, can you bring that towards you so that you see the full smiling noodle?
Of course.
On the edge of the roof. Yeah, like that. And then if you had like 4 of those just like slapped around the outside and we filled in the holes.
Trying to realign this with the grid there so it's straight. So if I do that.
Yeah, so that's what I was wondering, was if there was some way we could manipulate said noodle so that he's on the outer edge of the roof creating that smiling lip line.
The bottom piece of this is always going to be
it's going to be the issue.
Yeah, we can't like trim off the piece that we want, and we're going to have like this handlebar.
But doesn't the roof look like that? Does the roof's...
Oh, maybe I need to look at the actual.
Hang on, I'll share him again. But he smiles.
There's my magic button.
Okay, sharing screen. Yeah, he smiles a bit. So I thought we could manipulate the noodle enough to get that edge, but maybe not. Maybe it's impossible.
So I think the issue is for the amount that it curves up on the end, like we can't just flatten the center only. Okay. So yeah.
You're saying the noodle has too much curve.
Yeah, show my screen again. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like where we're kind of it's easier to see with like a torus or something like that. So if I put, how did I do that? It was like locked on my hand. If I put something like this out, or even something like this out,
okay.
Whatever I stretch this, the entire shape stretches. Like I don't have a way to control the size of the opening. So it's all just one shape. So I can't make it fill more in, and I can't make it thinner on the outside.
Okay.
And the same goes with this. If I stretch it, it stretches the center equally with the outside. So I end up with a giant rim, and I can't, okay, now I can't select it. There. So I can't flatten the center without flattening the tips.
Okay.
So if I shrink this down, it makes the edges.
It just makes it a flat
too.
bar, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if I could get
Okay.
kind of that shape out of it where it doesn't. Like once it's thin enough to not cover the roof line, then it's too thin to do anything useful out here. So I don't know. I mean, you can try this. Maybe I'm just not thinking of it the right way.
No, that was where my brain went, was automatically we should use the noodle on the roof, but I don't know. I don't know how to get
You just want to say noodle, I think.
I know.
I think you just
I'm
like the word
hungry.
noodle. I think there's a
Need some noodles.
possibility of this
John
working.
Burns said, "This is one of my favorite challenges, using primitives. In real life, I'm always trying to break down objects into primitives." I literally, John, this is like the hardest thing for me because Ed is teaching me about level design and game design, and I've never thought of the world in this way. We were looking at one of Horizon's starter worlds, and like just the way they built this forest with like green cones, and then they like intersected these like cylinders of white to make it look like the tree had like snow on it, and it just blew my mind because it was so simple and yet it was detailed. And that's the hard part for me, is to really understand how to build out assets like this. So I'm excited that we're tackling the roof. I think it's a hard one to start off with, but yeah, I think even that, Ed, that would give you what you're doing right now. Like if you backed up off of that, that would kind of give you the rough shape of belilted.
I think this is maybe the closest approach I can think of at the moment. Oops, zoomed way out. That's a big temple, by the way. That actually is
I love
up there
it.
quite a distance.
I love it. I think it
You
looks
could
so
probably do
cool.
something like this. Even this is a little limiting to me because what I'm really like kind of wanting to do is grab these two corners and pinch them together and make it like a
point. Yeah.
yeah. I can't do that in this. It's kind of like having used other tools before, you kind of get like a little irritated. You're like, if I could just take this triangle and pull this vertex up here and make like a different triangle shape, it'd be awesome. And you can't do that. But we'll figure it out. We'll come up with something that allows us to do this. Maybe building the roof as one giant triangle is not the answer. Maybe it needs to be like
four different joining pieces or something.
Yeah, maybe it needs to be more pieces to make it work.
Oh my God, I got it. We use 4 big noodles. Oh God, no! I love the rocky base though that you built. I think that's it's legit. I love that.
So we can do this like just to show like how this all starts to come together. We can grab these, and what I would probably do is go with we'll just paint everything gray at first. Just kind of cover.
And then are you going to do like variations of gray, or what's the?
Yeah, exactly. You're with me. I need to grab this. It's still floating a little bit. So grab that one, and where's the thing for it? Right here. Make that a little bit fatter. Still, and you cut it through the floor. Bring it this way a little bit. Just kind of just build that out. And then I would maybe grab this. These colors, by the way, are all pretty decent palettes to work with. If you want to get super duper creative, and I don't know why this isn't selecting. There we go. So you could do like that to give it a little variation. If you want to get super creative with the colors, you can pop this properties, go into attributes, and you can
Oh,
set the
cool.
color very explicitly here.
Oh, I had no idea. I thought you
if
were
you
set to the
wanted to.
palettes. Oh, that's cool.
So
Can you
can
go to the
create
drop down of the
off-palette colors.
palettes? Because there's like some really cool,
Yeah.
like other than Bold Discovery, there was one that I was like in love with. It was Autumn. It was the Autumn Stroll.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like Autumn Stroll. That's one I use a lot.
Yummy.
And you can mix the palettes too. They're not like set in stone that you can't mix them together. And then of course you can control some of the values independently if you
So
really
nice.
want to get detailed. And then after I do something like this, what I'd probably do is pop in some shapes. And then this is where we want to look at some of our inspirational stuff. I would put these in as placeholders maybe for now, but I might pop in some either round shapes for like bushes and things to cover up some of the odd cracks and whatnot. Or
So even this one, I'm going to share my screen. Even this one, because some of the landmarkers that we're creating are like these archways and the like I'm definitely building a lucky cat, but I think you could even have these like lilting shades of green along the ground at different points that could cover up things. 'Cause it doesn't even have to be an actual plant. It could just be like green ground or something. But at what point do you have Fuji still? She's out there.
Yeah.
There's our glorious mountain. At what point do we, because I really wanted you to tell me about perspective, and I'm going to pull up this image. There is this beautiful image where it's got Mount Fuji, but then it also has like, it almost creates like this feeling of a forest in the distance, and it's just two colors of triangles, right? It's like dark blue triangles and light blue triangles, and they're layered, and it's just like off in the distance. And so I'm a little confused on, okay, I could imagine building out these triangles and setting them and then creating a forest. But then like in my mind, they're just kind of like hovering in free space, and that's really awkward. And I don't really know how to make these assets that you're building off in the distance mesh with what you're building here. And I don't even know if you need to, but that's a part of level design. You're back on the screen share that I would love to address.
What I would do, let's see if I can get the right shape here. Like this is one of those things that's like super hard to align. So if I can't drag this axis up. That makes it annoying to me. So I need to, there we go. Like do it like that if I want to create like there's the axis I needed. So if I want to create a triangle like that shape, I can make them like this. Let's kind of, I mean, it doesn't need to be too flat, but just so it's not too deep. I could also use pyramid shapes if I wanted to use pyramid shapes. Let's see, this one might be easier. Yeah, that actually probably works better. I could use either or. So I could create my trees that way. It might help visualize this if we color them a little bit, like put them like a dark green or something.
Yeah.
And then, so this is what I would do for like replicating a bunch of these shapes really quickly, is I try to lock this. Let's get our grid. Building things on a grid and before you like start copying and moving things helps, because once you like, if it's off by a degree and then you copy it, things get kind of weird. What I'll do is I'll build rigid stuff to the grid, and then right before I feel like I'm done, I might go in and with the grid off and like move some things around just so it doesn't feel so robotic.
I gotcha. Okay.
So let's get our grid popped up just a little bit more, 1 meter maybe. We'll get that set. And then I'll duplicate this by
what did you grab? You grabbed the white. Because see, I normally just grab the item itself with the duplicate tool, but you grabbed the like right arrow or something.
So this arrow, if I'm not on duplicate, it moves it horizontally.
Yeah.
And if I use duplicate, it will duplicate horizontally.
Okay.
So
that's
I can
nice.
easily
That's
make
handy.
multiple. And then what I might do is create a couple of these to start, and then kind of like make them different sizes to give them some variation like that.
Now, can you grab all three and duplicate them?
I can. I would probably take like one of these also and maybe give it a little more width.
Yeah.
Just create even more variation. And then, so I've got some height variation, some width variation. And then they're probably snapped a little too methodical. So I might grab these, move them around. The bottom base doesn't really matter much to me because I think we're going to end up hiding it. So we'll do that. And then let's go in here. Let's get another color that's similar to that. Maybe this one, like that. And we could always recolor afterwards too. But now I can take and group them. So if I just grab the trigger button and swipe at the same time, I can grab multiple and group them. And then I can duplicate that group like that. And then if you wanted to, you could even overlap them.
Yeah,
In the photo, they're kind of overlapping. So
yeah,
we could do this. And we can overlap. And if you don't want them to line up like that, you could always come in here. This is a quick, easy trick. Just kind of mirror this.
Oh my God. Okay, you've got to show that slower.
Sorry.
I totally am not gonna know how to go do that. So you selected them, and then you have
selected it, and they're all three selected, and I have the little rotate. Rotate
it's
widget
it's behind the move up till. Is that arrow behind every axis? So like you can rotate it on any.
Yep.
Okay.
So I've got that axis, and then I need to set that higher again. The snap angle's just crazy tight.
So John Burns was saying earlier, so you can skew objects, select two objects that have different orientations, then stretch them as a group. And John was also saying just now, if you want more experimental shapes, try grouping shapes in different orientations and transforming as a group.
Yeah, so it sounds like we have some experienced people, and this one this is one of those things that got off the grid a little bit. I'm just going to wipe that one out.
Aww.
And then copy it again. You can also, when I said you can copy by dragging on that, you can also rotate copy.
Oh, nice.
So I can do that, and then push it back, like so. Come on. My grid is working against me, but you can keep offsetting. It's a very weird
way of thinking about creating. It's definitely, oh, cool, yes. Oh.
So they're kind of floating out there, and I'll get
and they're massive compared to...
I'll get to those questions and tips that we had in just a second after we do this here. So you were worried about, I guess, like what's beneath the trees?
Just like, how it all meshes, because it's like, oh, there's your floating forest. I don't get it.
So it depends on what the player can see. So if the player can't see the bottoms of the trees, I really personally don't care if they float into outer space, because the player has the perception that they're grounded somewhere. The player has no idea unless they're able to get up above them somehow. If this game had some flying mechanic, which some games do in this, or if there's a hilltop they can see down, then I might worry about it. So I might put like a piece of ground or something in here, put some hills underneath of it or something. And then you can always change the shape too of these so they're not so gigantic.
So John said if we need any help, he's available to build anything. We might take you up on that.
Cool.
Yeah, asset creation. Yeah, well, you should friend us. What's your name on
one of the things that he suggested, I think, was to take two shapes. Here, we'll use a square. This has some limited success for me. So
really? Okay, show me what he was talking about.
You could take two shapes. You can take one like this, and then let's take another one like so. And you can rotate one ever so slightly, like this.
I will add you as a friend, John.
And then group them. I may actually have met John before. John, what levels do you have, if any, that are published? Because I think we might have been playing around with one. Was there a dragon flying one? Was that you?
Shut up. Oh my God, shut up.
So you can grab them and let's see, you can stretch it together, and then I think it's if you group it, and you go into the zoom group mode. Trying to remember how this worked, but essentially you can like force it to skew the other shape. Yeah, there it is. So see, it's got an angle on the top now. So if I yank that back out, oops.
Wait. Are you saying we would be able to skew the noodle how we needed if we did this?
Possibly, but I haven't figured out.
Isn't that like the exact shape you needed for the roof?
It might be. I don't know.
Oh my God.
It's tough to determine like
Stretch it
what
as a group.
shape. I haven't done this enough to get it to come up with the
No,
shapes
this
I
is
want.
so cool.
So
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
so excited.
it feels a bit hacky, and maybe it
No.
is, but it
No,
does work.
It's not
But,
hacky. It's beautiful.
The thing is, I can't. I haven't been able to wrap my brain around yet. Like, okay, I have a square and I need to skew this direction. What other shape and what orientation do I need to put them in to make it come out the way I intended it to? So
I'm hopping on and skewing that noodle. I'm gonna do it.
I've had varying success with that, but it is a cool trick, and I've seen people that have kind of mastered it.
So back to, you were saying like if they have a vantage point and they can see the bottom of the trees, which in this case I think they can on that hilltop. What do you do? Like you just like turn the fog up enough so you don't have to worry about it.
So you can drop some hills in there, maybe. Go underneath of that. Just depending on how you want this to look in the final rendition here, you grab this guy and stretch it out. You can make that, that at least gives you an idea of what we can do with it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So we can start like that, and then another thing is you can always use like some forced perspective on this type of stuff too, where it's not really just because it's a giant mountain doesn't mean it needs to be a gigantic mountain. You can always make it a little bit smaller and kind of tilt the orientation just a little bit. You could build kind of a set underneath of it.
Can you show me what it looks like from?
That gives you.
Oh.
That actually looks much more immense, doesn't it? And I haven't done anything to it, so.
But do you have to connect it? Like, does it have to?
I haven't done a.
Like, do you have to make ground that builds up to it, or do you just at some point? Like, I don't really understand how you.
Again, it depends on what the user is going to see.
Okay.
So if they're going to be able to get to this, then I wouldn't suggest doing it. But you can always just put shapes in to fill in gaps. Like so.
And then like.
But just tilting that a little bit alone, like made it look much bigger than it really is.
Okay, I see.
So you can tilt things. You can, for example, with the temple, I mean, it's already pretty big, but if I wanted to make it look even more like towering, what you could do is take these shapes and just shrink them by maybe 10% as they get bigger. And you don't want to do it to the point where it's obvious, but if you shrink them just a little bit as they go up, then it'll look bigger. So this is what they do with the Cinderella's castle in Disney.
Yes.
So what you could do is take this, and I guess we don't want to duplicate the roof. But you would take these, and then now that I've duplicated it, I think I have to group it. And then I can come in, and with the properties, I would do this just very methodically here. And this is at a scale of 1. I might come down to like 10%, like take that down to 0.9. And then I would do this a few times. And this scale might be a little bit off. I might need to do less than that. But the point is that you would do this a few times. You can kind of see it a little bit here. So maybe even a little bit less than that. But once you do that about 2 or 3 times, and you're going up this way, and you're looking from down here, then it's going to start looking like it's even taller. There might be a proper like ratio for that. I don't know what that ratio is. but you can scale things very tightly with this here. So maybe we'll do 5% instead. And then every time you repeat this and go down 5%, yeah, that you don't see so much. Okay. So if I'm down here looking up and you start repeating that 5% decrease, it's going to look much, much taller than it actually is.
I see.
So you're kind of forcing that perspective on the person. It only works at like a certain height, but once you do it a few times above that height, you'll definitely notice it looks a lot different.
John said that if you wanted, he could hop in for 20 or so. He'll be online.
Okay.
We've been going for almost 2 hours, so I wanted to give you a time marker for. I didn't know how long.
Probably another time, but that would be cool sometime to have somebody else on to chat.
Panayot said that they use similar force perspective for the World of Warcraft at the Church of the Holy Light. Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's just one little trick you could use. That 5% actually looks pretty impressive already.
It really does. And I wanted to talk to you about needing a couple more layers, because when we throw in more roofs, we needed a little bit more space between the roofs. So I think that's going to work out so much better. This looks so cool. Like, I'm just so impressed with just the simple shapes, like how it's coming together, and it's like temple, forest, mountain. Like, I love it.
Yeah, you start adding a little bit of foliage around this thing, and you get the right colors in there, and it's really going to pop. So, I mean, you start stuffing like... Oh,
I just feel so embarrassed. It took me so long to build my lucky cat. She's not even done, and you've got a temple now.
Yeah, you start putting this type of detail around, put some other additional rocks around, so you kind of get like a more organic feel. You just keep, once you stub out like where it's going to be and what it's going to look like, add some other things, add a little patch of grass up at the top, put some lights dangling down each of the rooftops.
Can you show the performance tab real quick? I'm really curious.
Oh yeah, we've added nothing so far, I think.
Really? So you don't think it's bad?
If I go into capacity here, it's at 21%, but remember what I said a long time ago,
it starts at 20, right?
I think it starts at 20%. Was it John that's in chat? Maybe he knows, but it starts pretty like filled up already, which throws off your concept of how much
yeah.
So like if I took this entire block of trees and stuff and just duplicate it, I didn't even move any of the... That was 1%. So
okay,
2 of these made up about 1%.
But that doesn't make any sense, because if we're starting at 20, that means the temple's taking up none. I think it maybe just bumped us finally up to 2%.
It's around 20%. It's around 20%, I think. Okay. These are like, some fraction of a percent. So you copy a couple of them, you might move that a little bit. We can look like not right before we go, but I think we're about at time here. I'm going to go over to this hub world I've been working on. I haven't done too much with it. I've been busy, so I haven't gotten in here to mess around much. But I can just show you some of the things that we were learning about and how they applied here.
What's your username? I am Speedo Girl. I'm adding it to my name tag, how it's spelled. And then Ed, what's yours?
I always go by my name everywhere.
Wow.
My name is unique enough that if I...
Oh, the faux pas!
Oh, that's so weird.
What? What's weird? What's wrong?
The grid is on in here, and I did not have the grid on. So it must have carried over from...
Oh, your environment settings.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's scary to me. Like, what other things is it not
What
setting?
It is modifying, yeah.
Yeah, when I'm not looking. And it says show grid off, and it's not turned off. It won't turn it off either. So I think we just found a bug. So the grid is on.
You can't get it to go off?
No, it won't turn off.
Maybe you have to delete your environment block and recreate it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that.
I love this world that you've built, though. What do you call it? What do you call this world?
So I'm worried it's gonna save this thing that's stuck in here in perpetuity. Anyhow, so this is for a game that I'm making, and the idea was to take Skee Ball and go VR mode with it. So you
Panning
should
Out
not be able to
said,
see.
I wouldn't
Try
be
reloading
surprised.
this.
Panning Out said, I wouldn't be surprised if they counted player avatars and such that add up graphic elements in those 20%. And he said, how many players can play together? Do you know, Ed?
I think it's 8. I may be mistaken. No, actually 20. I think it's 20. But the more assets you add, I think that number goes down.
Oh,
I could be
okay.
wrong, though. I've seen 20 in a world at once. I think it also depends on how many spawn points you add. I'm trying to come in here just so I can maybe turn that grid off and see if it persists in the other world.
That would be really
Having
weird
it
if it
stuck
did.
on and ruining my world would be terrible. So tap that off. It's not turning off. That's the crazy part. Like okay, I can see it, but it's off. All right. So I just fell through it. So that means it's physically not there. It's visually there. So let's try one more time. I'll go back to this one and see if it's off.
I wonder if restarting the game would help.
Yeah, that might be it. Don't want to drag this on too long troubleshooting. So we'll go here and see. If not, we'll just point out what I wanted to point out and leave. Yeah, it's stuck, and I think I'm going to fall. Nope. Yeah, I fell through it. So that's a glitch. So this one, I started with those white blocks, and I blocked out. I had a white block here, and I had a block for this river running through the level, and I had another block here, and then there was just some basic blocks of elevation. So this one isn't as elevated as ours, but it's also a much smaller game concept. This was there is a game in here to play, but this is going to connect to anything else that I build in here. So you can make these portals in your your game levels, so you can go visit other places. So this is more of a hub for other things I might make in the future. So having it to be like super like varying heights didn't matter so much, but I did want to give it a little bit of vertical space. So there's that island is higher than this one.
That waterfall, though. That waterfall. Oh my God.
The bridge connects. These also add like some vertical space here, and it looks like
it's so cool.
It gives you space to look around. I need clouds and things yet, so I'm not done here. And then this is what I was saying about the rocks around the temple. Is I've used different shapes and sizes of rock to cover up.
Epic.
Like, so this, where the steps meet this, it's very plain without the rocks covering it. As you can see over here, it's just kind of like this circle within a circle. So I made it a little more interesting by piling up rocks against it and blending the textures of the rock and the ground together without it just being like a stark circle.
It really is an art. I mean, it looks so simple, but when it's like all these pieces together, it's incredible. And is that a light? Oh yeah, you put a little light over there. Is it visible when you're out of build mode? Like,
yeah, there's a light.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I couldn't see the pole, so I didn't know if you'd built like a light point or something. I see.
Yeah, and then let's see, what else do I have going on over here? Again, you saw how hard it was to get like shapes manipulated. So to create like the staircase that kind of flows upwards, I have these two circular shapes, but up against a half circle shape. So if I zoom way out, there's a circle at the bottom. There's 2 cylinders up top, and then there's a half cylinder here that cuts off in this direction. And then the stairs go up this way and cut through these 2 cylinders. So these extend way underneath. I don't know if I'm able to highlight one or not. Yeah, you can kind of see the ears for it. They go up underneath pretty far. So they're overlapping the stairs. So the stairs don't actually cut, they're not cut on that angle. They just get overlapped.
Yeah, it's so cool.
But this gives it a little more like of a flow, I guess. Gives it a little more than just building like squares. Like people get locked into like having things square all the time. So what more of a beginner might do is make like squares and then square steps, and then everything's very like not organic, but
or even just like a triangle, and then you walk up and then you're there like that. I can, This
so I wanted
so
to give
cool.
this like more of an organic feel. So like with the trees, for example, these little bushes, I started off very rigid on a grid and placed like the pieces together, and then I went in and messed them up on purpose at the before I placed them permanent. So like some of these are skewed just slightly, so they're not just like all perfect trees straight up and down. Like these are on purpose trees straight up and down because they're manicured, right? But these bushes are more organically grown looking. So there's a little bit of finesse to it. And then this is some of that blocking I was telling you about. I kept falling through this for some reason. So there's some glitches in the game yet where a lot of shapes overlap. Sometimes you end up just falling through. So I had to put a square block underneath so you wouldn't fall through it. I may be able, see, I'm starting to just sink. So I got to clip this off. Yeah, this is really strange stuff. I don't know why this happens, but it looks like it can't find the right collision point here. So that's something that you have to be aware of with creativity in the shapes. Another thing that you can do here is I have all these rocks, so I went ahead and just embedded a couple inside the material above it, so it gives it more of a cohesive feeling, more of a texture that belongs there. So if you have something that butts up against rock, maybe put a couple pebbles in the other material, or if it's something that I don't have any in here per se, but if it was grass butting up against it, you can, put a little bit of a grass texture up against that as well. It gives it a little more organic feel. You don't want this to be too like clinical feeling. It makes it feel fake,
So cool though. I love it. And I'm so excited to see our temple world come together.
Yeah. So in this one, there's going to be a scoreboard for the game. There's some other assets that need to be brought in. And then I'm working on just getting the game to work in this environment and try not to, I'm in a good spot, so I'm not going to hit my desk. But you're basically playing skee ball. And there's going to be some other things that I build in relation to this game. And I'm terrible at it. And there'll be portals to get in and out of those games. Through this this area here. So right now that goes to the plaza. And if I build other games related to this one, you'll be able to jump to those.
Jump over to them. That's really cool.
Yep. So, and then that's an old asset that's going to get removed. This is me prototyping more stuff, right? So there'll be more floaty islands. This is off in the distance. This is one of those distance objects I was talking about. It's not really big. It looks big because of the way I oriented it.
It does look big, yeah.
Yeah, so
that is such a cool trick.
It's kind of fake. Like if you're standing here, it looks like a massive like dome property of somebody.
I know, it's weird seeing you walk around it because of how big it looks off in the distance. I'm like, whoa.
So part of it was just like scaling the trees. The trees you see in the rest of the level are huge, right? So you see those kind of cone-shaped trees like these. I took those same trees and shrunk them, and that kind of combined with the tiniest fountain in the world, give you the impression that it's bigger than it really is.
It's bigger. That is so cool.
This door like should be big enough for a human to fit through, but it's really tiny. So when you look at it from here, it looks silly, but when you look at it from here, it probably puts it off in the distance a bit further.
That is so cool. Forced perspective, man.
Yep. So
love it.
That's some fun tricks that you can do. And then when you're building a lot of assets, I keep a zoo. I call it a zoo. I don't know what else you want to call it. There's no like asset like window that you can pull up. So I just put stuff down here. And then when I need one of these, I just take my duplicate tool and I go boop, and I've got an asset library down here. And what I do with a lot of these is I will take them and copy them and then slightly modify it so they don't look identical everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's those. There's my rock paths I use. These are for future use. This is some brickwork that I can take and copy and make rooms from. So I've got these, lined up and ready to go. Like that.
Penny Out said it's the poor man's toolbox.
It is. So it's still in beta. So there's, things that are weird. There's evidently a bug with the ground, or the grid showing up everywhere.
Oh yeah.
My text didn't get.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping that it goes away when you restart. So we'll see.
So if we look at this in relation to the level we're building now, I started with white blocks here and here, some elevation on either side of those white blocks, and I put some blocks representing, like, I knew I wanted some kind of water feature to go through this just to give it some aesthetics. So I blocked that out, and then I blocked a bridge. But then I'm not facing the camera. What you might find really weird, and I won't do this to you, Alyssa, is once I blocked all of that out, I deleted it. So for me personally, I don't need it there. Once it's there, I actually just swiped through, deleted the whole thing, just started building. That's
you're
just
saying
me.
I see. You're saying you don't need those zones blocked out visually.
Once I have them in my head, that's good for me. Each person, might need them to be a different, they might have their own process. They might need the block there until the asset's been built.
It's built, yeah.
For me, I laid it all out, and then I was like, got it, deleted it all, built this island and extended it out, and kind of had a rough idea of what I wanted to do with it. And then I love my sign, by the way. Like, this is the temple in our map. Like, this is the center point of the map. This is an old school reference here to Disney. So
is it?
Yes. So that's an old Disney reference there. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But it's cool, like futuristic looking signage, and that's like my centerpiece. To you're walking through it. It's kind of hovering over the entire.
Yeah.
It dominates the scene. It gives you like a landmark to go towards. So that's why I put that there. So this is going to be the hub. So I'll extend. The game will be here. There'll be different doors to different things if you want to go visit other games I make. All right. So this is the part of the show where you get to see VR hair.
Yay!
So I'll warn you.
Yay!
And I got to change my mic.
Okay.
So it's gonna cut off.
Not only VR hair, but VR face too. Oh my goodness. Although Ed's VR face is never bad. Not like mine where it's like bright red. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Raiders, for sticking around and bringing your questions. This was fun. Next week, I'm actually moving to Oklahoma. I'm in Kansas City right now. And you think, Oklahoma, what's their family? Yeah, it's really the only thing good Oklahoma could ever have to offer, but I digress. So I will be out next week, but Ed might have a show without me, and then I'll be back and we'll continue building our game. I'm so excited. Not bad at all.
So next week is spring break.
Oh, is it?
And you said you were going to be off, right?
Yeah, I'm moving. Okay,
you are moving. I am on spring break, so we will skip a show next week.
Nice. Oh, good, because I didn't want to miss anything. Yeah. So yay!
Not miss out on anything. We also need to talk to our producers, our Eva and Sarah and folks. I still have three codes for Horizon.
Okay.
So we can do a giveaway on one of our shows when we come back.
Yay!
So we need to take that and advertise it so people know to come get on the show and be in the chat room to get.
Absolutely, that'd be awesome.
So we'll probably have a little Google form or something that says do you have a Quest or do you have a VR headset? I think it's only open to the US. The invites I have. So we might want to just make sure it's somebody that can use them. So do you have a Quest? Do you have a headset? Or are you in the US? And just enter yourself in the prize drawing and we'll give them away. So that'll be fun too. And
Very cool.
I need to research while I'm on spring break. And then we've got some folks that might be able. Actually, that would probably be a good one if John wants to help at some capacity.
Absolutely, I would love to pull in John.
Yeah, if you want to help us with projectile mechanics, so I know you can create launchers of various sorts in the game. So we wanted to have a crossbow type of a thing, and I know it's not crazy complex. I think it's something we can do in a show. And if John's got any experience,
John said he's game, awesome. So we'll definitely coordinate and pull you in because we want to be able to shoot throwing stars with a crossbow. I know it sounds crazy, you might say, but it's going to be epic if we can pull it off. So.
John's made several launchers, he said. So he's
Shut up!
We'll reach out
awesome.
And see. So yeah, we can do that. And then let's see, you've got something happening tomorrow, don't you, Alyssa?
Yes, do I? UI Fridays. I'm I literally every day this week it was what day is it? It's just,
and I'm not moving, so I'm just old.
Yeah, UI Fridays. Come hang out. It'll just be a chill hour or so stream where we talk about UI issues. Last couple of weeks we've been going over performance with animations in CSS, and right now we're currently working on animating SVG inline. So that's always fun. I don't know. I enjoy it, honestly. I have a special place in my heart for SVG. So that's where we're at. But come hang out, and I was checking out what John was saying. And if you're like us and you've got off next week, enjoy it. Hopefully you're on Ed's side of the fence relaxing and not on my side moving, but either way.
So little TMI probably, but I have literally, what are they called? Woodchucks? Groundhogs? Like the little guy you pull up and tell if it's going to be spring for another week.
You have a groundhog problem?
I have a groundhog problem. So they have dug underneath of the path to my shed and collapsed it. So my spring break will be digging up a rock or a patio and evicting some groundhogs and repaving a patio that they destroyed so I can get my lawnmower out before spring kicks in full.
Yeah,
so,
it's coming.
Yay, spring break.
We're both, I'm going to imagine both of us as relaxing on a beach instead, because that sounds better. So,
That was a lot
Oh,
of
but
fun, though.
yeah.
This Horizon stuff is really cool, and I love showing you, Alyssa, because you seem to be like super interested,
No,
and
I
you're a
love
gamer
learning.
too.
I know, I love learning about the other side of gaming, you know, the building of it. Because
Mhm.
I have only been a partaker of the games, not a builder yet. So it's really cool to see. Even just, it's weird thinking of like with web. Of course, there are design patterns, but it's weird thinking of game design patterns and level building and things like that. So I love it, and I'm just enjoying this series. So thanks
I,
for bringing me along.
you're welcome, and I will warn you, it does ruin some of the magic. It does, unfortunately. You'll be playing a game now, and you're gonna go to like jump over a fence. You're like, oh, there's a clip mask there.
Oh,
Womp womp.
or
And
I'll see something in the distance and I'll be like, that's not really that big.
yeah, it's like when you're watching a movie and you can tell like something is digital, like or props in the background. You're like, yeah.
It's like teaching someone about fonts and typography, and then they start seeing Comic Sans everywhere. It's the same kind of thing. You know, it's like you only do it to those you really either love or hate. So, well, cool. I'm off to get some lunch, late lunch,
Same
but.
here. Same here.
But thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you not next week, but the week after for some more VR building
Yes.
fun. What?
Yes. You may see me in Horizon from time to time during that time, though. But you won't see us here on Code It Live. But make sure you subscribe because there's like tons of cool shows. And if you're coming from the Horizon side and you're like new to scripting and you haven't done like full on like programming before, you'll find like web development and mobile development and all kinds of stuff here. And then if you're the other way around, you've done some of that and you're like checking out some VR, and that's cool too. So
Yeah, this is our DevRel channel. So anything our DevRels are into or want to show off, this is where we go. And we even have like chat shows and podcast things that we do here too. So
Yep.
Yeah, follow along, and thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Bye-bye all.